Peter faked his death to escape our wedding. His brothers told me to move on early, but behind my back, they bet a Ferrari on it. Bet they could win me over in a month, make me dump Peter and remarry. Just a hopeless romantic. Playing her is like playing fetch with a dog. They assumed I was shallow, gold-digging, uptight, and boring. I didn't call them out. I accepted a friend request from one of them. Later, after Peter got bored of fooling around with all those flirty women, he finally remembered he had a fiancée. On the day the wedding invitations went out, his brothers couldn't force a smile anymore. One of them punched Peter square in the face. A divorced guy like you thinks he can compete with me? You think you know how to take care of her like I do? Chapter 1. A Ferrari key landed on the coffee table with a clang, thrown by Peter. Helen's head over heels for me. No way she'd ever cheat. He twirled a wine glass between his fingers. Smug and confident. I was her first love. First kiss, hell. Even when she got her first period in high school, I was the one who bought her pads. What's that saying? Pavlov's dog? I snap my fingers and she comes running, begging for my attention. Outside the door, I had been working hard to summon up the emotions of a lost love returned until that sentence shattered everything. Laughter exploded inside the private lounge. Let's make a bet, said his friend Gabriel. I'll win over Helen in a month and get her to call off the wedding herself. Someone chuckled. Gabriel, are you that desperate? Taking over Peter's leftovers? Gabriel just shrugged. I've seen plenty of manipulative women who play hard to get cold on the outside, but deep down they all just want to marry rich and sell themselves for a high price. High-class ice queens? Please. Playing hers like walking a dog. The more they drank, the worse their words became. Peter didn't deny any of it. He lazily flicked a lighter onto the table. Don't say I didn't warn you. Final semester of senior year. I caught a cold. Helen traveled 2 hours back and forth just to bring me pear soup. What do you have that even comes close? I quickly rubbed my eyes red, ready to push open the door and tearfully confront Peter. Then, suddenly, floating in front of me, bullet comments. It's over. The male lead's fake death escape got exposed. Here comes the dramatic memory loss arc. Poor heroine, after she loses her memory, she gets kicked out of her house, and the second male lead dates her for a bet, then emotionally abuses her and dumps her. She ends up mentally broken and jumps into a lake. Don't worry. This is a regret and win her back story. The more she suffers early on, the more satisfying the male lead's groveling redemption later will be. I froze. The eye drops I'd used just now slid down without warning. Wait. What? Am I the heroine in one of those tragic romance stories? Chapter 2. I've been a poser since I was a kid, loved showing off. To be the top of the class every time. I'd secretly study until my textbooks were falling apart, while pretending it all came effortlessly. All just so people would look at my brother Alex and say, same parents. How come the brother's so much worse than the sister? Every time that happened, my dad, my mom, and my brother would all look furious. And that made me feel great. Also, I'm a sucker for good looks. That's why I fell for Peter. The eldest son of the Kim family, sharp-tongued and mean, once made 3 girls cry in a single break just by mocking their love letters. But he was rich, handsome, and the bad temper? Whatever. After all, my dad once slapped me so hard I went half-deaf. And afterward, he casually said, "You're just going to be married off for family alliances anyway. As long as your face is fine, it's all good." No way the Kim family would accept me as their daughter-in-law. So to avoid being handed off to some bald, pot-bellied old man, I decided to become Peter's loyal sidekick. When he dated someone, I'd keep watch for him. When he skipped class, I'd take notes for him. When the young master was in a good mood, he'd publicly claim to protect me. That let me study in peace instead of being dragged to pointless banquets by my dad. His friends always laughed at me, calling me Peter Kim's little tail. Peter's got her trained, say go east and she wouldn't dare head west. I bet even if Peter asks her to bring condoms when he's dating someone, she'd do it. Little tail's smart and pretty. Peter, if you don't want her, let me take her. Peter rested his hand on a basketball and said nothing. I immediately responded, righteously, no way. I belong to Peter alone. Everyone burst out laughing, even Peter smiled. He reached over and tapped my forehead. You clueless dummy. Peter was really hard to please. When he had a sore throat, he'd want snow pear soup with rock sugar. Takeout wasn't good enough. He insisted I personally watch the pot and simmer it for 2 hours. That's how I ended up so sleep-deprived I got distracted. And boiling water scalded the skin off my wrist. Peter panicked and rushed me to the hospital, scolding me the whole drive. Helen, are you dumb? You can't even handle something this simple. I tilted my head slightly and said nothing, lips tightly pressed. At a red light, he couldn't help but glance at my perfectly posed profile, then suddenly said, Helen, I'm okay with dating you. I blinked, then replied almost instantly, sure. I almost truly fell for Peter, but I've had so little love in my life, I had to squeeze real feelings out of something fake. Peter, on the other hand, had so much love, so much that he could toss it away like garbage. From school uniforms to wedding dresses, Peter and I spent 10 years together, but realizing someone you once liked is rotten, that takes only a moment. Good thing for us bad girls, we never fall in love. Chapter 3. Young Master Kim really is something. Taming the cold. Aloof top student like a dog. Too bad Helen's totally clueless about flirting. I wonder what the Ice Queen would be like in bed. Peter Kim kicked him impatiently and lazily pulled out a cigarette. Quit talking nonsense. She's your future sister-in-law. He lit the cigarette, sounding a little regretful. To be honest, before I got her, I was restless, wanted to give her the best of everything in the world. But once you've had a taste, it's just whatever. 10 years in and I'm sick of it. I wanted to call off the engagement, but my family wouldn't allow it, so I figured, fake my death to lay low for a while. Besides, watching the Ice Queen sob her heart out for me was kinda entertaining. The room filled with a round of suggestive chuckles. Gabriel raised an eyebrow. If I manage to win Helen over, that new Ferrari of yours is mine. Peter took a drag, clearly annoyed. If you can actually get her to stop clinging to me, then do whatever the hell you want with her. Deal. The bullet comments were still rolling in. Don't be sad. Heroine. The male lead just hasn't figured out his feelings yet. One tear from you and he'll start regretting everything. He talks tough, but wait till he sees you smiling at the second male lead. He'll come crawling back to mark his territory like a jealous dog. The comments claimed Peter and Gabriel would gradually discover their true feelings through this bet. Once the truth came out, both of them would be full of regret, and along with the other male characters, would fight to win me back. But I didn't believe a single word. It just sounded ridiculous. If you truly love someone, how could you turn her into the punchline of a locker room joke and feel proud about it? I didn't listen any further. I went straight to the hospital for a checkup. Once I ruled out illness and pregnancy, I let out a long sigh of relief. Thank God, I wasn't the tragic romance heroine who runs away while pregnant. On my phone, Peter's parents called. Helen, any news about Peter? I dabbed some medicated oil under my eyelids, letting the sting bring tears to my eyes. The police say chances of survival are very slim. They advised us to prepare ourselves and start arranging Peter's final affairs. I didn't go back to expose them. I went with the flow, made Peter's death a confirmed truth. In that moment, I changed my plan to cancel the engagement. The bullet comments got one thing wrong. A so-called bad woman like me isn't cut out to be the heroine of some grovel for her love redemption story. Now that I know how the plot unfolds, then I should decide who the male lead of this world is. If they want to play a game, I'm all in, because I'm dying to see the look on their faces when the truth finally comes out. Chapter 4. That night, I received a friend request from Gabriel. His profile picture was a half-body shot taken at the beach. A white dress shirt soaked in seawater, subtly see-through with hints of pink underneath. Gabriel and I were both physics majors. He said he was my junior and wanted to discuss a paper with me. I zoomed in for a better look, then gladly accepted. We discussed until 2 a.m. The cafe was already empty. Gabriel, ever the gentleman, said, "It's not safe for a girl to walk alone at night. Let me take you home." It was early winter in City A. The night breeze carried the scent of wintersweet. We walked side by side along the lover's path on campus. The carefully curated romantic tension simmered like warm water around a frog. Gabriel joked, "Senior, I'm starting to want to pursue you." I joked right back, "No way. I don't date people who get C's on their papers." Perpetual flunker Gabriel was speechless. Gabriel had only wanted an excuse to spend time with me, but after a week of one-on-one sessions where I helped him revise his thesis logic every night, he ended up passing all his final papers with straight A's. Helen, thank you, he said awkwardly. The surprise in his eyes couldn't be hidden. No need to thank me, it was a team effort. Honestly, Gabriel didn't have much talent in physics, but every day I found new ways to praise him. This part reads great, huge improvement. At first he didn't believe me, then he started to waver. Really? Maybe I actually am suited for physics. Total nonsense. His drafts were a mess. I secretly used a premium AI editor to polish his writing. Come on. It's college assignments. We all know the drill. It was probably the first time he'd ever gotten good grades through actual effort. Gabriel bit his lip and curled his fingers under the table from the compliment. Female lead clearly majored in child psychology. Gabriel slaps himself awake in the middle of the night, apologized to baby girl Helen. You jerk. This pampered rich boy had never needed to win anyone over, so his courtship attempts were painfully clumsy. After I rejected the Ecuadorian roses he tried sending me, again, Gabriel started to panic. A friend gave him advice. Girls these days love handmade gifts. Shows sincerity. So next time we met, Gabriel brought a rough-looking hand-knitted scarf. I made it myself. It's not great, but next year I'll give you a better one. He probably had never given such a cheap gift before. The tips of his ears turned red. The usually untouchable rich kid suddenly seemed very real. I glanced at the scarf, clumsy stitching, with several glaring mistakes. And for once, I didn't reject it. Thanks, Junior. That's very thoughtful of you. The bullet comments started rooting for Gabriel. At least the second male lead put in some effort. Knitting a scarf takes time. It's way better than cold, soulless luxury items. Okay. Kinda shipping her with him now. Just a little. I laughed coldly inside. Here's a fun fact. Open the orange shopping app and search DIY handmade scarf gift for boyfriend/girlfriend. Boom. 39.9 yuan. Done. I already gave Peter one of those when I was 15. Gabriel's face turned even redder. When he leaned in to kiss me, his lashes trembled ever so slightly. I admired the view for a while, then took the lead and bit back. To be fair, Peter was sharp. Gabriel was innocent. Both were very good-looking. A little variety never hurts. When his friends asked how it was going, Gabriel raised his eyebrows and grinned. Thanks to your advice, gave her a wool scarf. And she was all smiles. His friend was shocked. No way. You actually made it yourself? Gabriel rubbed his nose awkwardly and scoffed. I thought she was just some gold-digging schemer. Turns out she's a hopeless romantic. Didn't even need a real plan to hook her. Just wait. I've got this bet in the bag. His friend shook his head, a bit concerned. Helen seems like a good person. Don't mess around and end up catching real feelings. The bullet comments flew across the screen. This guy's putting on an act. Helen so much as smiles at him. And he's probably already picked baby names in his head. Mouth says, gold-digging schemer. Inner voice says, she's amazing. LOL. Classic under a second male lead. Acts cold and cocky but is clearly falling for her. So sweet. Falling for me? Please. I immediately resold the scarf and the LV carryall, plus the Hermes Birkin bag he sent along with it. Earned 39 million yuan in total. Let's just call it tutoring fees. Gabriel wasn't hard to figure out. Forget the wild parties and flashy sports cars, just like his cat photos on WeChat. And he'd feel seen. Eventually. I even learned his cat's name was Chubby, but he didn't even know. I'm allergic to wool. TSK. TSK. By the time I got back to the apartment, it was already 7 p.m. Lucas had dinner ready and laid out on the table. Every dish was exactly to my taste. Sis, you're home late today. He set the utensils down behind me. The movement so close it felt like he was wrapping me in a hug. He always had these subtle little gestures. Yet those beautiful doe eyes looked so innocent and wronged. I reached out to pat his head and didn't explain much. Something held me up. Let's eat. A shadow of something darker flashed in Lucas's eyes, but he quickly covered it up and obediently served food onto my plate. The bullet comments were full of envy. Meanwhile, Gabriel's out here giggling over his scarf, unaware the villainous third male lead just stole the whole house. God-tier drama. Real-life love triangle literature with all the messy tropes. Hee hee. A mere side character. Unlike Gabriel's loud and flashy courtship, My encounter with Lucas had been a complete accident on my side. At least, I was surrounded by street thugs when Lucas stepped in and took a knife for me. A 10-centimeter gash tore down his arm. He gritted through the pain and shielded me until the bodyguards arrived, then collapsed in my arms from blood loss. Looking at that face, made even prettier by the pallor of losing too much blood, I had to admit, Lucas's entrance may have been cliché, but it was damn effective. After getting stitched up at the hospital, Lucas looked at me with pitiful eyes and said he had nowhere to go. Once he moved in, Lucas took it upon himself to handle all the chores. Every evening I came home to hot meals, spotless floors, a perfectly drawn bath, and even a faint trace of aromatherapy in the air. He remembered everything I liked, slowly and silently embedding himself into my life. But then, I caught him on the phone, and he wasn't the obedient little sweetheart he usually played in front of me. He was smirking, voice dripping with contempt. Sleep with her? She's used goods. Wrecked by my brother. Only an idiot like Gabriel would fall over himself bringing her gifts. Once she falls for it, I'll get a few photos. That's all I need to win the bet and humiliate both my brother and Gabriel. Turns out, all those meals were cooked by a maid and just delivered. I didn't call him out. In fact, I was kind of excited. After all, isn't it more satisfying to tame a rebellious puppy? Soon, the bullet comments filled in the gaps for me. Lucas is actually kinda tragic. He's Peter's half-brother, the illegitimate one left to rot overseas. Their dad never really cared, just sent hush money once a year to keep the mom and kid alive. Lucas's mom forced him to copy everything Peter did, down to the exact same outfits. After more than a decade of this, he snapped. Only people who've been starved of love know what another unloved person really wants. Lucas, for all his arrogance, secretly loved sweets and pastries, but not a single piece of candy could be found in the apartment, because Peter hated sweets. When Lucas's mom found out, she forced him to eat an entire jar of white sugar. She didn't stop until he was so sick of the taste. Just smelling it made him nauseous. I had a clear image of Lucas by then. Rich but unloved, jealous of Peter, yet desperate to become him. Even wanted Peter's fiancée for himself. So after that, every time I went on a business trip, I brought back some local snacks for him. The first time I gave Lucas a piece of chocolate, he silently accepted it and carefully placed one piece into his mouth. From then on, the meals were no longer made by a maid. Lucas cooked them himself. I bought a camera and took Lucas sightseeing all over City A. We pinned photos onto a wall at home. All the teenage memories Peter had once lived, I gave them to Lucas. One by one, we acted like a perfectly ordinary couple, strolling across campus, grabbing snacks at the mall. Whoever got home first would wait for the other. After dinner, we'd cuddle up to watch a movie. Every time we went out, I would hold his hand and say, "Let's go home together later." And the more I said it, the more he started to believe it. Eventually, no matter how late I came back, Lucas was always waiting for me on the couch. Before work, he'd nuzzle into my neck and whisper, "Sis, I'll be here waiting for you." I'd tilt my head back with a giggle, it tickled, and mess up his hair in revenge. Be good. See you tonight. So simple, just one piece of candy, one photo, a few small routines and warmth. And somehow, Lucas played the role so well, he really started to believe it. Chapter 5. Lucas's tank top was a size too small today. As he bent down to ladle soup into my bowl, his tight waistline and six-pack abs peeked out. I reached out to pull his shirt back down. While I was at it, I casually ran my hand along his back. "It's getting chilly. Don't catch a cold." Lucas tugged at the corner of his lips, a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. The bullet comments rolled in. LOL. Lucas is throwing bedroom eyes at a blind woman. I think male lead number 3 is getting suspicious. The heroine used to hug and kiss him every day. Now she's acting cold. That kid isn't eating dinner. She must be sneaking snacks elsewhere. This plot is falling apart. Weren't we promised a heartbreak and redemption romance? Whatever. The heroine's eating good. Let me sub in for a couple episodes. After dinner, Lucas went to wash the dishes as usual. Then he brought out a plate of neatly sliced fruit and set it in front of me. "Sis, who did you meet today?" I was reviewing a bid proposal. A junior, his family's drone production line could be a good match for our company's needs. I'm trying to land the partnership. Lucas froze for a second, then forced a smile and grumbled, "You're never home. I'm the one doing all the cooking and cleaning." I kept my eyes on the document and gave a perfunctory reply, "Be good. I'm working hard to save for our future." In any relationship, the person who's invested more sunk cost finds it hardest to walk away. If I really had no career and just stayed home cooking, I'd be labeled a leech within a month. Lucas didn't respond. His gaze drifted toward a paper shopping bag on the shoe cabinet. His expression flickered, cloudy, unreadable. This man was too perceptive. I stood up and pulled the wool scarf from the bag. Head down. Lucas's eyes lit up. He nuzzled his face into the back of my hand like a puppy. I wrapped the scarf around his neck. The material felt warm and fluffy. Lucas touched it again and again, pleasantly surprised. "Did you knit this yourself? Just for me?" "It's a hand-knitted scarf, a reward for being a good boy." I thought for a moment. Gabriel had knitted it. Technically, so yes, it was hand-knitted. Lucas pulled his usual move, burying his face in my neck and acting coy. I hugged him back gently, relieved. That round was over. Then a soft voice drifted into my ear. "I remember, the perfume you wore today didn't smell like this." My heart skipped a beat. This little puppy had a sharp nose. I frowned first. Seizing the offense, "You must have imagined it. That's the same scent as the gym's body wash." Lucas stared at me, neither confirming nor denying that he believed it. Bullet comments flashed across the screen. "This is intense. Is the heroine about to get exposed? Game over. That's a men's-only body wash. Exactly like the one Gabriel uses. Lucas is way too suspicious. She won't talk her way out of this." My smile disappeared. I pushed him away. "Lucas, what right do you think you have to control me?" My voice was blunt and cruel. "You already know. I'm never going to marry you." Lucas's face went pale in an instant, like he couldn't believe how someone who had been all smiles moments ago could turn so cold. So fast. He panicked and reached out to grab my hand, but I pulled away. I rolled up my sleeve, revealing the scars left by hangers. The Sue family doesn't keep useless people. If I can't bring profit to the company, they'll marry me off. I've truly enjoyed the time we spent together. Seeing you was like seeing my old self, but we can't stay trapped in the past. I have to take responsibility for my future. Lucas's pupils contracted. His fingers trembled as they reached toward my scars. "So everything, your kindness to me, us shopping at the supermarket, watching movies on the couch, decorating the apartment with photos, cooking, kissing, hugging, was all just your way of healing your childhood trauma?" Yes. My expression didn't change, even as Lucas's tears fell, one by one, onto my scars, hot and scalding. "I see, Helen. Well done. You, heartless, stone-cold woman." Lucas slammed the door behind him in a quiet fit of anger, but not before grabbing the trash from the kitchen. He didn't even take off the scarf around his neck. Bullet comments. "Welp. She blew it." Male lead number 3 finally opened his heart and got ready to accept her. And the heroine doesn't even appreciate it. Why is she just standing there? Go get Lucas back. He's a villain. This whole sweet guy act was just part of his plan to seduce her. It's over for the heroine, unless she runs to the main lead or second male lead right now. She's getting shipped off overseas to mine coal. After reading the bullet comments, I didn't go chasing after him. Instead, I lit my usual scented candle, showered, did my skincare routine, just like always, except that before bed, I posted something to my only visible to one person friend circle, suddenly craving pork congee with preserved egg. After I'd fallen asleep, Lucas posted to his own feed, "In your dreams." The next morning when I woke up, pork congee was bubbling gently in the kitchen. In the steamer were molten-centered custard buns. Lucas was standing at the sink, face dark, hand-washing the underwear I'd changed out of the night before. Bullet comments. LMAO. Villain bro out here stone-faced. Hand-washing panties. Hey villain bro. Remember you were supposed to seduce the heroine and take revenge on your brother? Let him be. He's got his own rhythm now. Half asleep, I brushed my teeth, feeling slightly awkward. You really don't have to do that. We have a washing machine. Lucas suddenly snapped. If you won't let me wash them, then who do you want to wash them? That guy outside? What do you even take me for? He turned his face away sharply, tears welling in the corners of his eyes. After a long pause, He said softly, If I help you win that project, would you consider choosing me? Chapter 6. After finishing the pork congee, I spent another half an hour coaxing Lucas, promising him I'd definitely come home tonight. Before heading out, I changed into a white dress and did a no makeup, sickly soft beauty look. Only 1 week left before the bet ended. I leaked the news of Peter's death. At the funeral, the Kim family's business contacts found out I was Peter's fiancée and politely offered their help if I ever needed it. Naturally, I walked away with several key supplier contacts. I treated the funeral like a networking gala. I was so pleased that when offering incense at Peter Kim's memorial, I had to apply an extra layer of powder to mask the excited flush on my cheeks. Mrs. Kim pointed at my nose and cursed. You're a cursed star. You jinxed my son, and now you're trying to steal his company? Get out! Mr. Kim didn't say it outright, but his eyes carried a warning. I don't care what you and my son agreed on. Now that he's gone, I'm reclaiming his shares in the company. Nearby, Martin, there to pay his respects, glanced at me. Alex smirked maliciously. Wanna guess who Dad's gonna sell you off to next? That dying old tycoon? Bullet comments. Wait, doesn't Peter's mom know he's not actually dead? Why is she blaming everything on the heroin? Is it even your company? Sir? Peter barely worked there. Sounds like a clean grab for free shares. Excuse me? Peter's fake death has nothing to do with the heroin, yet the whole family's treating her like a spy. The heroine's family sucks too, neglectful parents, trash brother, a full set of red flags. I lowered my eyes, didn't argue back. Peter and I co-owned a joint venture. That was the only way I could build a stepping stone under Martin's watch, one that could let me escape the Sue family. As I bowed, I leaned toward Mrs. Kim and whispered with genuine affection. There's an old saying in imperial times, they called it a widow's fate. When a woman's destiny is too noble, unworthy husbands bring illness, loss, or even death upon themselves. Meanwhile, the widow goes on to live better and better, marrying higher each time. So yes, blame me. I was born with good fortune. Peter, unfortunately, just couldn't handle it. Mrs. Kim's eyes turned bloodshot with rage. She swung her hand toward my face. I was just about to step back when a hand with clearly defined knuckles wrapped around my waist. Gabriel blocked the slap for me. Her nails raked across his jaw, leaving a thin cut. He frowned, covering the wound, but his eyes immediately found mine when he saw only concern in them. He relaxed and dropped his hand. Gabriel turned to Mrs. Kim and said gently, Auntie, Helen was Peter's fiancée. If Peter's watching from the other side, I doubt he'd want you to treat her this way. His phone lit up. Incoming call, Peter. Mrs. Kim clearly recognized the implication. She gave me a death glare, then walked away unwillingly. Gabriel ended the call and withdrew his arm from around my waist. He looked me up and down, clearly worried. Are you okay? Did she hit you? I shook my head, and he let out a sigh of relief. Auntie Kim was way out of line. You're incredible, Helen. Peter was lucky to almost marry someone like you. He emphasized almost with a little too much glee. I smiled back and lightly traced his injury with my fingertip, my eyes shining. Let's clean that up before it gets infected. Bullet comments. Come on. It's obvious. Peter's still looking out for her. He even called Gabriel mid-funeral to protect her. But the man won't open his mouth. Just stacking up misunderstandings. Gabriel is so gentle and considerate. Sure, he ran his mouth early on, but look how protective he is now. Even learned how to knit for her. What? Y'all don't love Lucas anymore? Brooding little wolf dog with trauma and a possessive streak? That's peak romance material. The bullet comments started arguing over who I should choose again, once they finally quieted down. I looked up. The bathwater had already been changed twice. I had set an alarm. Someone's looking for me. I'm heading back. Gabriel, who had just taken off his shirt, looked up with a frown. What? You got someone waiting at home? His eyes glistened, and he nudged his chin against my knee. I nodded with a smile. Yeah, there is someone else. I paused and added, needier than you. Gabriel laughed, thinking I was joking. After all, Peter was still relaxing on a yacht. How could anyone be waiting at my place? All right then, let me, the side piece, drive you home. But before we got to the house, Lucas emerged from the garage shadows. Helen's sister, Who's that man? His smile was as gentle as ever, but his eyes were dark, obsessive, laced with madness. A fling is one thing, but why bring him home? Does he know how to take care of you like I do? Chapter 7. Gabriel looked at him, then at me, face stiff. Sister, what does he mean by that? So what now? I got demoted to being the side piece in my own story? He said it like a joke, but there was no smile behind it. For the first time, I felt a headache coming on. Bullet comments. Oh. Heroine's plot just collapsed. Told y'all she should have stuck to the classic tragic romance arc. Now she's ruined both male leads. Why is everyone yelling? She did say she had someone at home. If Gabriel didn't believe it, that's on him, not her. Still, Gabriel stepped protectively in front of me. Once he recognized who the other guy was, his gaze turned condescending. Lucas? The rat that hides in the dark? What? The sewers overseas weren't filthy enough for you? Lucas didn't flinch. He curled his lips into a mocking smile. Isn't this Peter's dear brother? What's the deal? You fall for the fiancée he left behind and decided to serve her too. Honestly, sometimes I start shipping you too. After saying that, Lucas deliberately tugged at the wool scarf around his neck. A bad feeling surged in my gut. Sure enough, Gabriel saw the gray scarf and completely lost it. He lunged at Lucas, punching him straight in the face. That scarf, I gave it to sister. Why the hell is it around your neck? You sewer rat bastard. How dare you lay eyes on my woman? Does Helen even know who you really are? Lucas cut him off, shielding the scarf while staring straight at me with an icy gaze. Sister, you said this was handmade. You said you knit it just for me. Bullet comments. LMAO, it was handmade, just not by her. Gabriel knitted it. Why is Lucas still clutching the scarf like it's his baby? Even now? Stop questioning it. They're both madly in love and unhinged. Let them be. Stop it. Both of you, I said, more annoyed than anything, trying to get someone to break them apart before the scene got even uglier. Then my phone rang. Gabriel glanced at the screen. Lucas realized who it was, Peter, and froze too. Gabriel, how's Helen? Did my mom give her a hard time? Gabriel looked at my back and replied in a calm voice. She tried to hit her. I stopped her. She's fine. Peter joked. Still clinging to that bet? I told you, Helen only has room for me in her heart. She's never cared about anyone else. You might as well give up. We're still brothers. No shame in losing to me. Laughter came through the line. Peter had clearly put the call on speaker. Gabriel and Lucas exchanged a look, and instantly, an unspoken agreement formed. Yeah, Helen is a tough one to win over. That Ferrari's yours. Enjoy your cruise while it lasts. The longer you stay out there, the less your parents can nag you to get married. Peter chuckled and agreed. Just before hanging up, he added, Oh, Gabriel, if you get the chance, look out for Helen a little. She doesn't sleep well, gets anxious being alone at night, barely eats when she's busy. A sweet, pouty voice interrupted. Kim baby, if you care so much about Sister Sue, why are you out here playing with me? Honey, she's boring. You're way cuter. Pick any jewelry set you like, I'll buy it. Gabriel didn't say a word. Peter didn't care. He hung up. Bullet comments. At this point, Peter's a total flop. Let Gabriel take the lead already. No. Peter's just putting on a front. He'll come back once he realizes what he's lost. He did take care of her. One guy in the bedroom, one in the kitchen, body and soul, both pampered. Before leaving, Gabriel gave Lucas a warning. Watch your mouth. Don't let sister find out Peter's still alive. If you do, I won't hesitate to expose your dirty little secrets. Lucas stared at me as I came hurrying back, his eyes dark and stormy. He sneered. Don't get too smug. If we're talking about who came first, you're the one who's last in line. Let's not forget, you're not even allowed inside the house sister and I share. Gabriel's face turned pale. The cut on his jaw began to bleed again. I frowned. Want to come home with me and take care of that wound? Gabriel looked at Lucas with a trace of pity. Lucas's hands were trembling in anger. His eyes filled with tears as he glared at me. Then he turned and stormed off. Helen, I'm never falling for you again. Chapter 8. After hanging up, Peter felt a vague sense of unease. Beside him, the young starlet he was entertaining was putting on makeup in front of the mirror, red dress, red lips, seductive and dazzling. Yet Peter found her annoying. He thought, Helen never wore makeup like that. Helen was clean and delicate, like a glass of plain water, bland over time, but when she was far away, Peter started to miss her. He figured it was about time to head home. It had just been a momentary impulse, a search for excitement. Helen would forgive him, just like she did when they were 17. All she needed was a little sweet talking. After all, she loved him so much. They were supposed to get married. Besides, with the way the Sue family was, if Helen didn't marry him, her father would just sell her off to someone else. If not him, then who else? Only he was the best option for Helen. Peter logged into an old Weibo account he hadn't used in ages, default avatar. Basic profile. The only person he followed was Helen's alternate account. National college entrance examination results are out, 686. Finally brave enough to go after what I really want. Peter remembered 18-year-old Helen had tugged at his sleeve in the stairwell, hesitating before asking, Peter, will you apply to South City University with me? Without thinking, he had nodded and changed his major choice to finance at South City University. The only regret was that Helen had selected physics on a parallel track. From school uniforms to a wedding dress, it's already been 10 years. One more year, and we can finally start our new life together. The photo was of a calendar. The wedding date was circled in red. That was a year ago, when both families met and set the date. Helen had held onto his arm, smiling shyly and gracefully, like every bride-to-be dreaming of happiness. Peter, feeling mischievous, had leaned in and blown gently against her blushing cheek. Helen's alternate account didn't have many posts, just scattered entries over the past 10 years, quietly recording her changes. But one name appeared again and again, Peter. As he scrolled through her fragmented thoughts from over the years, Peter couldn't help but smile, a rare, unconscious curve of his lips. Suddenly, an overwhelming urge surged in him. He wanted to go home. He needed to see Helen. The starlet next to him clung to him petulantly. Mr. Kim, you promised to take me on a 1-month honeymoon trip. The auction hasn't even started and you're bailing already? She glanced at the screen of his phone and sneered. Ugh, so cheap to be this whipped. Peter grabbed her chin, cold fury in his eyes. Helen is my wife. You're just a disposable toy. What gives you the right to insult my wife? He turned away, issuing orders. Cancel the rest of the itinerary. Call the helicopter. I'm going home to see her, tonight. On the way home, Gabriel was unusually quiet. As soon as we arrived, he avoided me and made a phone call, cut off all business ties with the Kim family. He was set on causing trouble for them. Maybe then they'd be too busy to eye someone else's wife. Naturally, he also moved into my place without asking. I had no time for these childish little turf wars between men. With the supplier contacts I'd gained at Peter's funeral, I finalized a partnership with the Song Corporation, and while I was at it, secured several more lucrative contracts. As soon as the payments cleared, I led the core team out of the company and started a new one. Clean cut. No more being dragged down by the Sue family's mess of debts. It all happened so quickly that by the time Martin realized what was going on, the deals were already sealed. News of my deal with Gabriel reached the Sue family in no time. The moment I stepped in the door, Martin glared at me, raising his hand to slap me hard. A deal this big with the Song family and I wasn't even informed? Do you even see me as your father anymore? But before the blow landed, a man in a black suit grabbed his wrist midair. Alex reacted first, pointing at my face and screaming, "You money-sucking wretch! You've gone completely insane!" Smack! I slapped him across the face. The wedding ring on my fourth finger cut a bloody gash across his cheek. It looked brutal, as his pig-like scream rang through the house. I calmly took the handkerchief offered to me and looked around at the entire family. From now on, if anyone in this house insults me, I'll slap Alex. One insult, one slap. I'll stop when I feel satisfied. My mother trembled, eyes brimming with tears, but too afraid to speak. After a long pause, she finally stammered out, "He's your brother. How could you hit your own brother?" I stared at her until she couldn't hold my gaze and looked away. "Mrs. Sue, you never once stood up for me when Martin and Alex humiliated and tormented me. No need to speak up now. I picked up a golf club and swung it into Alex's precious wall of collectible figurines. Alex clutched his chest in horror and screamed, "Dad, call the police! Call them now!" I said lazily, "Dad, a sister disciplining her younger brother, just a family matter. Why bother the authorities?" That was what he said the year I turned 16, after he beat me so badly I lost hearing in one ear. And those things? You forgot? I bought them. I can smash whatever I want. Over the years, the Sue family had been selling off every valuable asset to keep the company barely afloat. Everything new here was added after I got engaged to Peter. This family lived in luxury funded by selling off their daughter. Now it was time they gave it all back. Soon, a car pulled up outside. It was Gabriel. Alex ran over, hugging Gabriel's leg and shaking all over. "Gabriel! Helen's lost it. Please, get someone to take her away." Gabriel frowned and looked around the room. "You didn't bring enough people with you. Does your hand hurt from hitting them?" Alex snapped. "Gabriel, what the hell is wrong with you? You're treating Peter's leftovers like she's some kind of treasure." Gabriel immediately looked at me, visibly worried. When he saw I wasn't shaken by what Alex said, only then did he relax. He clamped a hand over Alex's mouth and dragged him away. "I worked really hard to get your sister to stop thinking about those two Kim family mutts. She's right, you still don't get it. Go dunk your head in the pool and wake up." Alex was hysterical. "You're all insane. Completely insane." Chapter 9. In the end, Gabriel's song was taken away by people from the Song family. They warned me sternly, "Stop corrupting their precious young master." Gabriel struggled as he shouted, "Helen, just give me one day. I swear I'll convince my parents to approve our marriage." I didn't entertain his delusion. Marriage was always just a means to an end. People who grow up without love can't offer it to others. Women like me, ruthless and calculating, only ever trust ourselves. Adrenaline surged through me, every drop of blood in my body feeling like it was about to combust, buzzing with excitement and a hint of jealousy. Gabriel would never understand. He may be a fool, but he was a fool blessed with a loving family. I called Lucas. He waited a long time before picking up, his tone mocking. "Helen, do you still think I'm the obedient little dog who came running whenever you called? Let me tell you, I'm not the same." I cut him off quickly. "Come over. I want to sleep with you." Address? Half an hour later, a black Cayenne came roaring up to the hotel, pushing the speed limit. When I opened the door, Lucas stood there with his hair pushed back, sharp brows and wild eyes gleaming. He looked annoyed. "Helen, are you insane? You're with Gabriel now and you still call me? Are you?" I grabbed his collar and silenced his ranting mouth. His expression shifted from indignant to reluctant acceptance. By the time we parted, our breaths were uneven and shaky. Lucas instinctively licked his lips. I kicked him, tugged on his shirt collar, and teased, "What are you, a puppy? Who said you could lick without permission?" His eyes glistened as he looked up at me. He said just one word, "Woof." My phone kept ringing. I ignored it. Lucas's eyes turned red as he held my ankle, kissing it hard and desperately. His fingers found the zipper of my dress. The very next moment, the hotel room door burst open. Gabriel had returned, swaying unsteadily, and Peter, freshly back from overseas, took one look at the scattered clothes on the floor, then lunged forward and punched Lucas square in the face. "You bastard! How dare you touch her?" Blood bloomed at the corner of Lucas's mouth. He didn't back down, he hit back, landing a blow to Peter's gut. Peter doubled over, coughing blood. Lucas grinned darkly. "You were off pretending to be dead. I moved in to take care of sister. What's wrong with that? What now? You so pissed you came back to life? Don't forget to say thanks." I ignored their dramatic standoff and looked toward the door. Gabriel, having composed himself, slowly stepped forward. He knelt down on one knee beside me and gently straightened the hem of my dress. Cautiously, he said, "Sister, come with me. Neither of them deserve you." I was speechless. Bullet comments. "Wait, pretty boy. Where did your morals go?" Mystery solved. Peter was clearly dragged here by Gabriel. That scheming side character energy is leaking through the screen. It's chaos. Total chaos. The plot's a complete disaster. Everyone, just grab a spoon and eat it while it's hot. Gabriel, Who are you to stand here pretending to be the good guy? Don't forget, it was Peter who faked his death to escape the wedding. But you were the one who turned my sister into a bet. Lucas yanked Gabriel aside. He stepped in front of me, shielding me from the other two, coldly smirking at them both. Peter, panting, face contorted in pain, looked at me desperately. Helen. I'll explain the fake death thing later. But you can't be with Lucas, he only approached you to get back at me. The three men refused to back down, tearing into each other without hesitation. Their so-called brotherhood crumbled under the weight of jealousy and pride. What was left was just snarling ego and rotten instincts. Bullet comments. Let's be real, all three of these men are trash. Triggered. This could easily spiral into a forced love dark ending if the heroine doesn't take control fast. I watched the whole dog-eat-dog mess for a while, entertaining at first, but quickly lost its charm. Then I reached for the soft flesh at my waist, pinched it hard to force a few tears, and covered my mouth as I looked at Lucas, shocked and wounded. So, you two brothers planned this all along just to play with me? Then I turned to Peter and pointed. And you'd rather fake your death than marry me? Fine, let me make that easy for you. I ripped the ring off my fourth finger and flung it hard, while one stood there with shattered pupils and the other frantically searched the floor for the ring. I grabbed Gabriel's wrist and bolted. Bullet comments. Called it. She picked Gabriel. Stock rose. Cashed in. New. Lucas's face when she took Gabriel's hand, you could see his soul shatter. Peter fumbled the whole childhood sweetheart plot. Congrats. You played yourself. Once in the car, Gabriel quickly leaned over and buckled my seatbelt for me. Sister, I already talked to my parents. The moment I graduate, I'll marry you. I'm not like Peter. If you want, we can move out together, just the two of us. No more pleasing the elders. We can even sign a prenup. If I ever cheat, I'll give you everything I own. He went on, rambling with excitement and sincerity. I listened idly, bored out of my mind, then suddenly asked, so, what exactly was this bet about? The Ferrari screeched to a sudden halt by the roadside. Gabriel turned to me, panic written all over his face, but I looked calm, like I had just casually tossed out the question. And when no answer came, I leaned back in the seat and closed my eyes. Fast asleep. Chapter 10. Peter Kim and Lucas Kim both ended up in the hospital after the fight. The Kim family was thrown into complete chaos. But the next night, I saw Lucas on the staircase. He was wrapped in bandages, looking miserable, just like the first time we met. Sister Helen, I didn't mean to hide it from you. I just didn't know how to tell you. If you'd known I was Peter's younger brother, you would have never accepted me. Lucas clung to me, tears dripping down onto the floor. My past is a mess, but the time I spent with you, that was the first time I felt like I had a home. Every night, I was scared that if I opened my eyes again, you'd be gone like a dream. But didn't you only approach me in the first place because I was Peter's fiancée? You thought it would be fun, right? For the first time, I didn't return his hug. Lucas's eyes were still wet, but his voice turned sharp, slicing like a blade. Sister, do you really think Gabriel is some kind of good guy? A video file landed in my inbox. Gabriel's voice rang loud and clear in a private room. I've seen plenty of pretentious girls who play hard to get. They all want to marry rich and sell themselves for the highest price. What ice-cold goddess. Playing her is like walking a dog. Lucas gently brushed back a strand of my hair. Sister, I know what you want. We're the same kind of person. Just wait for me. Once I take back what I deserve from the Kim family, I'll come for you. After Lucas left, the door behind me creaked open. Gabriel stood there, his face a mixture of guilt, shame, and panic. Sister. Lucas set me up. That video had to be faked. I was drunk. I don't remember saying any of that. He defaulted to deflecting responsibility. I laughed. Who said Lucas filmed it? Gabriel's rant came to a screeching halt. He stared at me, stunned. I filmed it. Truth is, I'd gone there that night planning to cancel the engagement. But then the bullet comments changed my plan and pushed the story towards something far more entertaining. Now that I'd ripped off my sweet, kind upperclassman mask, my smile mirrored Lucas's, cruel and amused. If Peter hadn't faked his death, the wedding still wouldn't have happened. Peter, are you listening? On Gabriel's phone screen, Peter lay in a hospital bed, tears streaming down his face. No. I don't believe it. Helen, you've loved me for so many years. That can't all be fake. He struggled to open the alternate account and showed me post after post, trying to prove how much I once loved him. You said you wanted to apply to South City University with me. You ended up in physics because of the parallel track. But you still came to the finance department every day just to sit in on my classes. You looked so excited about the wedding this time last year. I stared at the circle drawn in red ink on the calendar, and my mind drifted back to when I was 18, desperate to escape the Sue family. Physics at South City was my dream, but Martin wouldn't allow it. He wanted me to stay at a local university, easier to keep me on a leash. So I asked Peter, would you apply to South City University with me? And as for studying finance, that happened after I once again had to clean up the mess from Alex getting into another fight. I thought, if even that useless trash can inherit the Sue family, I wasn't willing to be left behind. But none of that inner journey needed to be shared. What if someone, one day, was reborn? I wouldn't give them any chance to turn the tables. I simply lowered my eyes, letting a perfect tear trace down the side of my face. Still the most flawless curve. I said, it's all in the past now. Let's just forget it. It'll hurt less that way. And with that, let the guilt drive you right out of my life. Chapter 11. Peter was rushed into emergency care. Originally, his injuries weren't that serious until Lucas went to visit his dear brother. Just a little more, and the Kim family would have been left with only one heir. The Kim family and the police both started hunting for Lucas. He became a sewer rat, skulking in the dark, hiding wherever he could. When my company was listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, the only one who came to see me off was Gabriel. He still hadn't given up. Sister, he said, maybe it all started as a bet, but I got serious. I really like you. That's disgusting. What? Gabriel stared at me, stunned. I said, that's disgusting. Talking trash behind my back with your bros about how I'm shallow and materialistic. And then claiming you like me? I smiled brightly and said it again. If that's what you call love, then yes, it's absolutely disgusting. Gabriel broke again. As I was about to leave, I suddenly remembered something. I said one last thing to him in the gentlest voice I could manage. Gabriel, I'm actually allergic to wool. He froze, and then bit his lower lip. On the verge of crying, the bullet comments completely collapsed. LMAO. The heroine didn't choose any of them. The male lead is in a coma. The second lead is shallow. And the third one's a walking felony. Only the female lead has a bright future ahead. And that's exactly how it should be. Smart girl. Solid choice. I picked up my suitcase and noticed someone had tied a bag of chocolate to the handle, the exact same kind I gave Lucas the first time. I handed the chocolate to the cleaning lady at the airport. She tried to politely decline. I gently patted the little girl next to her. It won't get past security anyway. Just take it. As I boarded the plane, the bullet comments faded in color until they disappeared entirely. Ding. Plot deviation detected. Character arcs no longer predictable. Best wishes on becoming the author of your own story. At last, my life had broken free from the novel others had written me into. Not too early, not too late, but exactly on the day I'd circled in red ink. Story 2. Reborn. The first thing I did was rush back home. In my previous life, during the housing reform year, Ryan secretly gave the savings we had worked hard to save for 2 years to Elena just to give her a home. Over the next decade, housing prices skyrocketed, and Elena became a wealthy woman admired by everyone. As for me, I was stuck living in a cramped 30-square-meter-old flat. After being laid off early, I struggled day and night selling street food to support my family. The day I collapsed, Ryan was traveling across the country with Elena. Chapter 1. Laura. Congratulations. I heard your family is getting a 3-bedroom apartment this time. TSK. Laura is so lucky, she's got a house and is marrying a teacher too. TSK. I closed the courtyard door amidst the murmurs of envy and jealousy. Once inside, I headed straight to Ryan's bedroom. Taking a deep breath, I shakily pulled open the desk drawer. In a square, iron mooncake tin, I saw my stash of money still sitting there. I counted it, no more, no less, just over 900 yuan. In my previous life, Elena used this money to buy a house and achieved financial freedom a decade later. But I am bolder than her this time. I plan to take this money and head south. Ryan and I were supposed to get married next month, on the 18th of the lunar calendar. But in this life, that wedding is never going to happen. I secured the money close to me and was about to leave when I heard voices outside the door. Startled, I quickly returned to my own room. Chapter 2. Brother Ryan. Are you really giving me your housing quota? The woman's voice was clear and full of disbelief and joy. I was even stunned when I heard it. I only knew in my past life that Elena bought the house with Ryan's money. I didn't realize he had even given her his housing quota. My eyes reddened, and I bit my lip hard. You and Lucas are living under someone else's roof. You need this house more than I do. Ryan's voice was gentle, completely different from the indifferent tone he used with me. I listened as Elena thanked him profusely. Then she hesitated and said, "But even with the quota, I'm afraid I can't afford it." Ryan didn't respond. Brother Ryan, you know Lucas is still young and expensive to raise. I can't save much from my part-time jobs. After a moment of silence, Ryan finally spoke. I'll figure out the money. Elena tried to refuse a few times before the two of them finally left. I only came out of my room after they were gone. I remember in my previous life, when I heard Elena had made millions from the house she bought back then, I envied her so much. And what did Ryan say at the time? He simply ate his meal without looking up and said, "It's fate. If it's not meant for you, there's no point thinking about it." I completely believed him back then. I really thought Elena was just incredibly lucky. Little did I know that this so-called luck came from Ryan draining me dry to give it to her. In my past life, if Elena hadn't slipped up and mentioned how grateful she was for Ryan's help in buying that house, I would have died never knowing the truth. How deep must his love for her have been to let me and our child squeeze into a 30-square-meter flat? Also, he could give Elena the money and the house? And then tell me it was fate? Thinking about it now, Chapter 3. After the two of them left, I sat quietly in the room for half the day. By evening, I went to Ryan's room, took out the mooncake tin, and placed it on the dining table. Chapter 4. That night, I cooked a chicken stew and steamed a big pot of rice for myself. After finishing the meal, I opened the lid of the mooncake tin. Inside, apart from my savings of over 1,000 yuan, there was also Ryan's salary from the past 2 years. It totaled exactly 2,600 yuan. In addition, there was the housing certificate issued by his workplace and some receipts for daily purchases. When Ryan returned and saw the open tin, he frowned. Chapter 5. Ryan and I had known each other for a long time. Around here, once you're engaged, it's practically the same as being family. It wasn't unusual for us to share responsibilities, and no one would question it. That's why I had trusted him enough to keep my savings with him. Who would have thought Ryan was scheming behind my back, not only thinking about Elena but also giving her both our salaries and the housing quota? He ruined my entire life. Chapter 6. Why did you take the tin out? He frowned, looking at me unhappily. In the past, I would have already greeted him at the door. Ryan was handsome and well-mannered. After graduating from university, he worked at a research institute. I had once been very satisfied with this fiancé, even giving him my whole heart. But I was wrong. I just found out today that my father borrowed some money from his colleagues. I plan to use this to pay them back first. My mother passed away early. My father was a middle school teacher. He was always dedicated to his job and treated his students with care. Ryan had been one of my father's students. Back then, Ryan's family struggled financially, so my father not only tutored him for free but also secretly gave him pocket money several times. Even some of his high school tuition fees were covered by my father. Ryan wasn't the only student my father helped. So despite being a teacher for a lifetime, my father hadn't saved much. Sometimes, he even had to borrow money from colleagues for emergencies. Hearing this, Ryan didn't doubt me. How much do you owe? He paused and asked in a neutral tone. 3,100 yuan. Why so much? Ryan asked instinctively. The IOUs are in the tin. I can show you. I pretended to get up. Sit down. Ryan waved his hand. I don't mean to doubt you. After a long pause, he added, "Can we delay repaying it for a while?" I glanced at him without answering. Of course. I knew he wanted to give that money to Elena. I sneered. Keep dreaming. I was planning to head south to make a fresh start. I couldn't go without money. Chapter 7. Ryan didn't have the nerve to take the money back. He just said to leave the box with me for now. After Ryan left, I took out my father's account book. Although he was overly generous, he at least had the habit of keeping records. I listed all the money he had spent on Ryan over the years. I hadn't realized how much it was until I totaled it up. Not only did my father cover Ryan's high school tuition and living expenses, but he also gave him a lot of support during college. I added it all up, 2,800 yuan in total. That was 3 years worth of my father's salary if he didn't spend a penny. I took Ryan's 2,600 yuan out of the mooncake tin. As for the remaining 200 yuan, I considered it gone for good. I carefully hid the money, planning to return the box to Ryan the next day. What was mine, I would take with a clear conscience. What wasn't, I wouldn't touch, not even a cent. Chapter 8. When Elena showed up, I was making breakfast. The fire burned in the stove, and the white rice grains tumbled in the pot. I vaguely heard Elena's tearful voice. "They're so cruel. How could they hit you?" My hand paused as I scooped the rice. I walked out of the kitchen to see Elena with red, swollen eyes. Her long hair fell over her shoulders, and she was practically curled up in Ryan's arms. "What are you two doing?" Hearing my voice, Elena quickly turned and wiped her tears. Then she looked at me and said, "Sister-in-law, don't misunderstand. It's just that I had nowhere else to go, so I came to see brother Ryan." The three of us had known each other since childhood. 10 years ago, most houses here were still made of wood, and people lived close together. Ryan and Elena grew up in the same courtyard and often played together. Later, a fire broke out. Although no one was hurt, several streets of houses were burned to the ground. After that, everyone rebuilt their homes. Later, Elena married an apprentice tailor, but he died. Devastated, she barely survived and returned to her parents' home with Ryan's help. When Ryan said Elena was living under someone else's roof, he meant that after returning, she often had verbal conflicts with her sister-in-law, and every time, she would come running to Ryan. Ryan always acted like he had to take care of everything. What's funny is that, in my previous life, I actually believed Ryan saw Elena as a sister. Ryan's about to get married. It's not appropriate for you to throw yourself into his arms like this. Anyone watching might think you're looking to remarry. Back then, being a remarried widow didn't come with a good reputation. Even though I had no intention of going through with this engagement, I couldn't resist taking a jab at her. Elena's face changed, and she instinctively looked at Ryan. Ryan frowned and scolded me. "What nonsense are you spouting?" I sneered and ignored them, returning to the kitchen to finish cooking. Outside, the sobbing resumed and continued for a while before finally quieting down. Chapter 9. After breakfast, I headed to the factory. I worked as a quality inspector at the MSG factory. After graduating from high school, I was assigned to this job. The factory was doing okay for now, but a few years later, when the economy took a downturn, it faced restructuring, and I lost my job. Coming back this time, I already knew the factory's performance was steadily declining, although most people hadn't realized how serious the situation was. I planned to sell my position. In my previous life, those who were bold during the early stages of reform and opening up reaped the first wave of benefits. Back then, becoming a millionaire wasn't just a dream. I just needed to carefully think about who I could sell my position to. After work, on my way home, I instinctively wandered over to the area where Elena bought her house in my previous life. It was still an overgrown, empty lot, but just 3 years later, high-rise buildings would start springing up here, and within a decade, property prices would skyrocket. In my previous life, Elena secured her stability and wealth through this property, but in this life, without the few thousand yuan to buy the house, she was destined to miss out. When I returned home, I found Ryan already there. Ryan, who usually avoided the kitchen, had surprisingly prepared several dishes. "You're back? Wash your hands. Dinner will be ready soon." With someone volunteering to cook, I was more than happy to oblige. Chapter 10. Dinner was quite a feast: meat, vegetables, and even fish. He really pulled out all the stops. Sure enough, as soon as we started eating, I noticed Ryan's hesitant expression. I kept my head down, eating my food as if I hadn't noticed. Ryan, unused to being ignored by me, wanted to start a conversation but didn't know how. At that moment, Elena showed up again. The wind outside was strong, and Ryan thoughtfully invited her in and handed her a bowl of hot tea. She sat down and immediately began thanking me cheerfully. She said she was grateful that I agreed to give her the housing quota and even lent her money to buy the house. I looked at her and pretended not to know anything. Quota? What housing quota? Elena froze, immediately looking nervous and turning to Ryan. Big brother, does sister-in-law not know about you giving me the housing quota? Ryan didn't say a word and just looked at me. Elena's eyes sparkled with triumph, though her tone remained apologetic. Oh, big brother, I know you care about me and Lucas, but this is such a big decision. You should have at least mentioned it to your future wife, even if you're not married yet. Anyway, it's your property. Oh, look at me talking too much. I'll leave now. Brother, sister-in-law, Ryan reassured her softly. Don't worry, it's my decision. Just go home and relax. After she left, I calmly continued eating my dinner. It wasn't until I finished the last bite and stood up to leave that Ryan finally spoke. Laura, we need to talk. Chapter 11. I sat back down calmly. He hesitated before saying, can we delay paying back your dad's debt? No. I rejected him outright. There was no room for negotiation. If he willingly handed over the money, fine. But if he insisted on taking it back to fill Elena's bottomless pit like in the previous life, I'd bring out my father's account book. In any case, now that the money was in my hands, there was no way he'd use it for Elena this time. And what's this about a housing quota? You gave a housing quota to an outsider? Ryan, what do you take me for? Something this important. Don't you think you should have at least mentioned it to me? Yes, it's true. The housing quota was his, but for such a big decision, he hadn't said a word. Not to mention, in the previous life, he had even given away my salary to her, proving just how little I mattered to him. We don't need the housing quota right now anyway. Giving it to Elena isn't a big deal. She's living at her parents' place, constantly being mistreated by her sister-in-law. Can you really stand by and watch that? It's just a quota. It wasn't even yours to begin with. Why are you making such a fuss? I nodded. All right. So that's how it is? Fine, you're right. The housing quota isn't mine. You can give it to whoever you want. It has nothing to do with me. I stood up, not wanting to exchange another word with him, but Ryan added, we can repay your dad's debt slowly. Elena's situation can't wait. Give me the money, and I'll take it to her first. Ryan reached out his hand, speaking as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Chapter 12. I went back to my room and brought out the mooncake tin. Ryan thought I had compromised, but when he opened the lid, he saw only receipts and an account book. What's this? I motioned for him to take a look. Ryan's expression darkened as soon as he flipped through the first page. By the time he finished, his face was grim. What do you mean by this? I pulled out another notebook where I had recorded all the expenses my father had spent on him and flipped to the last page. Over the years, you've taken 2,800 yuan from my father. Ryan took a deep breath. Are you asking me to pay back the debt? I nodded. If you want to see it that way, then yes. Think about it however you want. But let me be clear, you're not giving that money to Elena. According to this record, you still owe me over 200 yuan. Originally, I had intended to write off the loose change, but now I wasn't willing to let it go. You wouldn't want people talking behind my father's back even after he's gone, would you? Ryan looked at me in disbelief. You're really calculating everything this precisely? I smiled lightly. Even close families should keep clear accounts. This time, Ryan was speechless. Laura, I never expected you to be so calculative. Do you still want to have the wedding next month? Ryan actually tried to threaten me. I couldn't help it. My eyes turned red. He had always been so well-behaved in front of my father, and his work performance after graduation was excellent. 2 years ago, when my father fell critically ill, he was worried no one would take care of me. So he entrusted Ryan to look after me. It was Ryan who reassured my father, promising to marry me and care for me for the rest of my life. I had never openly expressed my feelings for him before, but it was those words, and the way he stayed by my side through the painful days after my father's death, that made me fall completely for him. And now, he was threatening me for Elena. I sneered. Did he really think I couldn't live without him? If you want to call off the engagement, I'm perfectly fine with that. Ryan seemed stunned by how readily I agreed. Before he could react, I suddenly smiled. Actually, if you care about her so much, you don't necessarily have to buy her a house. After all, money won't solve her problems right now. Ryan frowned. What do you mean? I smiled. Her sister-in-law only targets her because she thinks Elena is freeloading at home. If I give her my job, she'll have a stable income and someone to look after her child. Wouldn't that be even better? Seeing that Ryan hadn't processed my words yet, I continued. Of course, I'm not that generous, but you can trade your housing quota for my job. Chapter 13. Ryan thought it over for 2 days before agreeing. Although Elena didn't get to buy a house, she secured a stable job. With a steady income, her troubles at home were resolved. She was happy, and the same day I got the housing quota, I spent 1,000 yuan to buy the property. I was even happier. Spending 1,000 yuan for a future worth millions? Absolutely worth it. Chapter 14. Ryan thought that by giving my job to Elena, I was simply preparing for our wedding next month, so he didn't think too much about it. But what he didn't know was, I had already bought a train ticket heading south. I was leaving tomorrow. Chapter 15. When Ryan came home, I had just finished packing all my things. Why are you packing so much stuff? Seeing that I hadn't made dinner, Ryan went to the kitchen and cooked 3 dishes and a soup. I stuffed my bundle into the cabinet. I had too much stuff, so I was organizing. Ryan handed me a bowl of soup and then took out a wad of cash from his pocket. Elena just started her job. I lent her 50 yuan. Here's 30 yuan for you. I paused for a moment but calmly accepted the 30 yuan, even though most of it went to someone else. This money was owed to my father. I took it without guilt. We ate in silence, and the atmosphere felt awkward. Ryan looked at me and cleared his throat. Don't worry, after we get married, you can stay at home and relax. I'll take care of the finances every month. You'll be in charge of this household. As he spoke, the tips of his ears turned slightly red. He even seemed a little hopeful. I sneered. So next month, you're not lending your sister more money? I couldn't resist throwing in a jab. Ryan looked at me, surprised. She has a job now. Why would I lend her more money? I was stunned. I didn't know what to say, but it didn't matter anymore. Once I left, whether he ended up with Elena like in the previous life or married someone else, it would have nothing to do with me. Before bed, Ryan brought out a stack of wedding invitations and asked me who we should invite. I looked at the bright red invitations and lowered my head. You decide. I returned to my room and locked the door. Chapter 16. This time, I didn't take much with me, just 2 sets of clothes and my money. I sewed the cash and important items into the collar of my clothes with a needle and thread. The rest, I wrapped up and stuffed into my socks under my feet. I'd rather the money stink than arrive at my destination penniless. Just as I was about to fall asleep, Ryan knocked on my door again. When I opened it, I saw him holding a sandalwood box. I raised an eyebrow in surprise. What's this? Come here. He reached out to take my hand, but I instinctively pulled away. He paused, withdrew his hand, and pushed the box toward me instead. Open it and see. His eyes were filled with nervousness and hope. I took the box outside and opened it under his expectant gaze. Inside, there was a pair of silver bracelets, 2 gold rings, and a jade bangle. I looked at the items with a complicated expression. In my previous life, Ryan never gave me these things. I remembered years later, after our child had grown up, I found this box in his study and opened it out of curiosity, but he had snapped the lid shut in front of me with displeasure. These are my mother's keepsakes. They're for my future daughter-in-law. Don't touch them. Later, the jade bangle somehow ended up on Elena's wrist. So he had these things all along. What I couldn't figure out was why he was willing to give them to me in this life. I laughed bitterly to myself. Was it because I gave my job to Elena, And he thought I was still useful? Was this his way of thanking me? What a pity. I didn't care. What do you think? Should I put the jade bangle on for you? Ryan blushed slightly as he picked up the bangle. I pulled my hand back. We're not married yet. It's not appropriate for me to accept these. Ryan looked uneasy at my cold demeanor. He had thought I'd be happy to receive these items. After all, they were meaningful, reserved for the daughter-in-law of the family. He never expected that someone who had always cared about him would now seem completely indifferent. Chapter 17. Laura. Is something wrong? I gave him a calm look. What could possibly be wrong? I just didn't care anymore. I didn't need any of it. I turned around. Take your things back. I closed the door again. But even until midnight, I could still hear footsteps pacing back and forth outside my door. The next morning, Ryan was already gone. I picked up my luggage and boarded the green train heading south. It was a 2-day and 1-night train ride, packed with people. At every stop, vendors crowded the platform, selling snacks, fruits, and street food. I had a window seat, and during meal times, I couldn't bring myself to spend money on the train's boxed meals. Instead, I bought pancakes and steamed peanuts from local vendors to fill my stomach. Except for the occasional bathroom break, I hardly left my seat. When I finally left the station, I discovered that the bag in my hand and the pockets of my clothes had been slashed open. Fortunately, I had only put a few small bills in my pockets as decoys. Losing them didn't matter, but in a completely unfamiliar place. I was nearly dragged into shady motels near the station several times by aggressive touts. Without saying a word, I broke free each time and clung tightly to my bundle. Eventually, I found refuge in the hallway of a hospital. The next day, with the help of the hospital's security guard, I managed to rent a room in a nearby residential building. My first job was working as a shop assistant at a wholesale market. In just 2 months, I went from knowing nothing to skillfully organizing stock and preparing orders for the customers who came to pick up goods. Gradually, I noticed that the market was saturated with stores selling clothes, shoes, and socks. The competition was fierce. Popular styles sold out quickly if shops didn't stock enough inventory. Customers who couldn't get what they wanted simply went elsewhere. But if stores overstocked, and the styles didn't sell, the goods would pile up and sit unsold. My boss often faced this issue. On the surface, the shop seemed profitable, with large shipments and big sales. But in reality, the unsold inventory piled up, and at the end of the year, it was possible to end up with no profit or even a loss, despite all the hustle. I noticed many nearby stores facing similar problems. After carefully calculating my initial savings of 2,500 yuan and my wages from the past year, I made a bold decision. I approached my boss. After some negotiation, I bought the unsold inventory at an extremely low price. Chapter 18. By this time, southern cities and coastal areas had already started to develop, and stylish clothes were in high demand. In contrast, inland areas like mine still lacked trendy clothing due to long distances and poor logistics. If I could transport these clothes back before others, I knew they would sell quickly. But while I had the clothes, figuring out how to transport them was a problem. I visited several freight companies at the wholesale market, but none had routes to my city. I refused to give up. After several days of searching, I finally found one company that had routes to a neighboring city. With some pleading and an extra 300 yuan, they agreed to make an additional stop and deliver the goods directly to my city. Once the shipment was sent off, I packed my things and began my journey home. Chapter 19. This time, on my way back, the train was even more crowded since it was close to the new year. But for some reason, I no longer felt nervous like I had when I first traveled south. Even when I encountered older women fighting over seats or had the strap of my small bag cut and stolen without noticing, I didn't panic. When I finally arrived at the station, I rented a small shop on the ground floor along a busy street in our town. 4 days later, after renting a tricycle, I managed to pick up my shipment. I then started selling the goods at a street stall in high-traffic areas. After working as a salesperson for a year, I had figured out the types of customers, who had money to spend, who was picky, and who loved to bargain. I knew them all. For wealthy customers, I introduced high-quality, well-designed clothes. For picky customers, I let them try on outfits over and over without showing any impatience. For bargain hunters, I threw in socks and gloves as freebies, offering discounts for larger purchases. Surprisingly, these tactics often encouraged more people to buy. Since it was close to the new year, many people were shopping for clothes, and my collection was stylish and diverse. Business boomed. Even nearby shop owners came over secretly to check out my styles. Soon, I had completely sold out the clothes I brought back, along with scarves, socks, and hair accessories. Everything was nearly gone. By the end of this trip, I had earned close to 10,000 yuan. I almost became a millionaire overnight. After the new year, I didn't rush back to buy more clothes. Post-New Year was the slow season for clothing sales. Bringing back inventory then would likely result in unsold stock piling up. With my profits, I bought 5 apartments in the same neighborhood where I had purchased my first property. The rest of the money, I took south again. This time, I ventured into selling electrical appliances. Having lived through this before, I knew that weddings were starting to popularize the trend of 3 spins and 1 sound. Bicycles, sewing machines, wristwatches, and radios. No wedding could go without them. Sometimes, finding a radio even required luck or connections. Chapter 20. After more than half a year, by the end of August, I finally earned a big commission from a major order. I put all my savings and wages into buying a new batch of goods and shipped them back. This time, the products sold even faster than last year's clothes. I didn't even deal with big-name brands. Yet each radio I sold earned me nearly 1,000 yuan in profit. Along with the cassette tapes I brought, the radios became my best-selling items. As they say, golden September and silver October. In just those 2 months, I made a fortune. Later, I went south again and took advantage of the get married and start the new year right mentality, earning even more. Even during the new year, my business continued to thrive. By then, I had built solid connections in the southern city, along with reliable logistics. Whenever I ran out of stock, I didn't need to travel in person anymore. A phone call and a money transfer were all it took to get new products delivered in a few days. At this point, my small-scale business strategy was no longer sufficient. I rented a 3-door storefront in the busiest commercial street. In addition to the store, I rented a large ground floor unit to use as a wholesale warehouse. Although wholesale didn't have the same profit margins as retail, the volume of orders made up for it. When I couldn't keep up with the workload, I hired 3 salespeople. Meanwhile, I enrolled in night classes, because no matter what, I couldn't afford to lack education, right? Chapter 21. Ryan, we didn't even have a banquet for our wedding, and now you're saying you won't buy me a sewing machine? The familiar voice made me look instinctively toward the store entrance. There, I saw Elena holding Lucas's hand, confronting Ryan while trying to hold back tears. 2 years had passed, and Ryan seemed to have changed. The once cold and refined man now looked haggard, with a dark complexion. If I wasn't mistaken, I even saw strands of white hair. Noticing my gaze, Ryan instinctively looked in my direction. The moment he saw me, he froze. Laura? Elena frowned and followed his gaze. When she saw me, she flinched but quickly straightened up, puffing out her chest. Oh, isn't this Laura? What's this? Are you working here now? One of my employees was about to speak, but I gave them a look, and they swallowed their words. Elena adjusted her hair and, holding on to a stiff Ryan, walked toward me. She smoothed her hair. Long time no see, Laura. I smiled. Shopping? Ryan's eyes reddened. His lips moved, but no words came out. Elena shot him a sharp glare, then turned back to me with a smile. Laura, you probably don't know yet, Ryan and I are married. I smiled. Congratulations. Are you here to buy things for the wedding? Elena nodded smugly. She then asked me to show her around the store. Under my admiring and envious gaze, she bought a radio, a sewing machine, and even a color TV. The color TV was one of my newest and most expensive items. Naturally, I added an extra 1,000 yuan to the price to celebrate our reunion. After paying, Ryan's face visibly darkened, but Elena, before leaving, couldn't resist smirking and said, "Thank you so much for your help today. Laura, working here must be tiring, right?" But I heard you get commissions too. With all the things we bought today, you must have earned quite a bit. Huh? I held back my laughter. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Just as Elena was basking in her pride, a middle-aged man with a large belly hurried into the store. Boss, has my TV arrived yet? Since the man was clearly addressing me, Elena's smile froze, and she turned to look at me in disbelief. I smiled and led the man toward the warehouse. Of course. I've already set it aside for you. Follow me. Chapter 22. When I stepped out of the warehouse, Ryan and Elena were already gone. That evening, I took inventory of the day's sales and balanced the books with my employees before locking up the store. I had barely taken a few steps when I noticed someone following me. Reaching into my bag for the pepper spray, I froze when the person called out, "Laura." It's me. It was Ryan. Chapter 23. A roadside food stall. Ryan ordered 2 bowls of stir-fried noodles. The clinking of glasses and the sound of sizzling woks filled the air with liveliness. Yet, the two of us sat in silence, because in my world, Ryan had already been erased 2 years ago. In fact, over these past 2 years, I could count on one hand the number of times I had thought about him. My focus had been solely on making money and buying property. If Ryan hadn't suddenly appeared today, I might have already forgotten what he looked like. When the noodles arrived, I picked up my chopsticks and started eating. I was hungry. Meanwhile, Ryan continued staring at me with a complicated expression. Finally, after a long pause, he asked, "Laura, have you been doing well these past few years?" I nodded without hesitation. Very well. And I meant it. Especially after leaving Ryan. I had been doing incredibly well. He stared at me intently, his expression heavy. "Laura, I'm sorry." I froze mid-bite. I hadn't expected Ryan to actually acknowledge his wrongdoing. His face turned pale. "I know you left without saying goodbye because you were too disappointed in me. We were engaged. Yet I never cut ties with Elena. Instead, I kept helping her. But I never expected her to tell people that she was already mine." I couldn't help but laugh. "So your sister turned into your girlfriend? Nice." They were never real siblings. Yet he had called her sister constantly, and they were never shy about their closeness. No wonder people believed Elena when she claimed they were a couple. Ryan kept rambling. Her family caused a huge scene, demanding that I marry her. But how could my mom agree to me marrying a woman with a child? Then Elena and her family started causing trouble at my workplace and even at my mom's job. Wait. I raised my hand to stop him. I had zero interest in hearing about his mess. I set down my chopsticks. "You're already married. Talking to me about this is inappropriate. Enjoy your noodles. I'm leaving." I took out 100 yuan and handed it to the stall owner before quickly making my exit. We all lived in the same area. How could I not know what Elena's family was like? They were worse than vampires. When Elena got married, her family demanded a hefty dowry but didn't even provide her with bedding for the wedding night. How could her in-laws respect her after that? Naturally, her married life turned into a disaster, and she ended up back at her parents' house. Ryan had known all of this, but blinded by his infatuation, he thought Elena was perfect. Now that he was entangled with her family, he finally realized the nightmare he was in. But, too late. He could only deal with the consequences now. Chapter 24. After that, Ryan came to see me several more times. Every time, he hesitated. Every time, he seemed on the verge of saying something but stopped. He kept catching me off guard. In the end, I had enough. I invited Elena over and had her hide behind the scenes while I faced Ryan. "You've been coming to see me so often lately. What exactly do you want?" I asked. Ryan seemed to summon all his courage before looking up at me. "Laura, do we still have a chance?" I scoffed and didn't bother to hold back. "You're married. And you're still trying to hit on me?" "No. She tricked me. I can divorce her." Ryan shot to his feet. She was already married and had a child. If she hadn't seduced me, how could I have ended up marrying her? You don't know what it's been like. Ever since I've been with her, everyone laughs at me behind my back. They say I'm a second-hand dad who gave up gold to pick up someone else's leftovers. Before he could finish, a loud voice interrupted. "I'll kill you, you shameless bastard. What's wrong with having a child?" Does he eat your food or carry your name? You call me leftovers? And what about you? You're nothing but a rotten cucumber. You're just all show and no substance. If I'd known you couldn't last 3 seconds, I'd rather have died than marry you. Pa. Amid the chaos, as insults and shouting erupted, I calmly put on my sunglasses and walked away. Life is long. Maybe their misery was only just beginning, and I was so glad I had walked away when I did.